Okay, so a YouTuber decides to go to one of the most infamous islands on the planet. He films everything, he uploads it, and then, boom, black SUVs show up outside his house. Now, this story, totally unverified, just blew up online. And in this explainer, we're going to dig into why.
I mean, that's a question that sounds like it's straight out of a horror movie, right? And for one influencer, well, it allegedly became one.
Yeah, that was the headline that just caught fire everywhere. YouTuber Nico Grigg, he posts a video from the waters around Little St. James. And then he claims he's being followed. And we're not talking about online trolls here. We're talking about these intimidating, blacked-out SUVs parked right outside his front door.
Okay, so full disclosure, there's zero proof any of this actually happened. But honestly, that's not what we're here to investigate. The real question, the crucial part, is why this specific story tapped into such a deep, deep fear for so many people. Why were millions ready to believe it without a second thought? To get that, we have to look at the story's real main character. And trust me, it's not a person. It's something way more sinister.
See, it all starts with the vehicle itself. This story just doesn't work with, say, a minivan or some beat-up old sedan. No, it had to be a black SUV. It's basically a rolling symbol of power and, anonymity.
And what's so fascinating here is how our culture has basically been programmed to see this specific vehicle in a certain way. It's not just a bunch of metal and glass. It's a completely loaded symbol.
You know, there's actually a whole field of study for this. It's called semiotics. It's basically about how everyday objects get loaded up with all this extra meaning. And let me tell you, the black SUV, it is loaded with a very specific and a very dark meaning.
I mean, just think about it for a second. In TV dramas like Vigil, it's the car MI5 agents use in those super tense pursuits. In movies like The Conspiracy, it's the vehicle that's always stalking the heroes right when they get a little too close to the truth. But this isn't just fiction, right? In the real-life Ghislaine Maxwell trial, these were the vehicles used to ferry people connected to the case around. And then there's this chilling abduction in Malaysia, where a whole fleet of black SUVs perfectly boxed in a pastor's car in this terrifyingly professional operation.
So, you see, when Nico Grigg says he's being watched by black SUVs, he really doesn't need to say anything else. Our minds just automatically fill in the blanks. Shadowy forces, unchecked power, sinister intent, the whole shebang. But a powerful symbol is only half the story. It also needs an audience that's, well, already primed to believe the worst.
And that brings us to the second really crucial piece of this whole puzzle, the storyteller, this new kind of digital detective.
Now, on the surface, that seems like a totally wild question. But the thing is, millions of people are doing exactly that. And to really understand why, we have to look at the one institution that was supposed to handle this case from the very beginning, and its frankly long and documented history of failure.
I mean, the public record here is it's damning. The very first formal report against Epstein was made to the FBI all the way back in 1996. And what did the Bureau do? Nothing. For a decade. Then, in 2007, this secret deal comes out of nowhere and shuts the whole federal investigation down, giving immunity to Epstein and his allies. And even after all that, the trafficking just kept going for another 10 years. And we all know how it ended, with his very mysterious death in federal custody.
Look, this documented history, this isn't some conspiracy theory. These are established facts. And because of that, it creates this deep, deep well of suspicion. You get this feeling that the official story is just a cover-up. And when the official story has that many holes in it, well, people are naturally going to start looking for another explanation. So what happens? Influencers, with their whole boots-on-the-ground style, they step right into that vacuum. They give you this feeling of unfiltered access, of personal risk, that just feels so much more authentic than some sterile official press release. They become, in a way, the people's detectives. But the fear they're tapping into? It goes so much deeper than just institutional failure. It's a fear that's been brewing for a very long time. All right, now let's get to the final piece of this puzzle, the ultimate fear that's really at the heart of this entire saga.
Because really, it's not just about what happened on that island. It's about what happened in that jail cell. And believe it or not, a single, totally mysterious document number is what reignited that entire explosive conversation.
I mean, this looks like nothing, right? Just a random jumble of letters and numbers. But this is the actual catalog number for a document that was released by the Justice Department, and inside that document is a single explosive sentence that just changes everything.
This This is the core claim from inside that document. It's a supposed insider suggesting that Epstein didn't actually die, but was secretly switched out, removed from the prison. Now, it's an absolutely explosive, completely unproven idea, but it speaks directly to the biggest question mark hanging over all of this. What really happened to Jeffrey Epstein?
And that is the final connection. That's why the black SUVs are so believable, because they represent the exact same shadowy system that people believe could make a high-profile prisoner just disappear. So it's not just about being watched. It's about this absolutely terrifying idea that the powerful are so far above the law that they can literally escape justice and silence anyone who gets too close.
And that's really the central question this whole incident forces us to ask ourselves, isn't it? The story of the YouTuber and the black SUVs, it isn't really about what happened to one guy. It's about what happens to all of us when our trust in the official story just completely evaporates. What happens when we're left with nothing but shadows and suspicion?